Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Afternoons with the Ambassador. And today we are talking about fan movements. And with me today, I've got my long lost friend, Milen Kulik. Milen, it's good to see you. It's been a long time since you and I have been on a stream, and I'm glad to know everything you and I you got in touch with me, because honestly, it was actually through a, well, sadly now dead fan movement that we actually met. So.
Yes.
But go ahead.
I'm referring to the Great Council movement that we met.
Yeah, the Grey Order. That's no longer, well, anything, sadly. But yeah, and as I said in the description, we're going to be talking about fan movements and the good that has come out of them, the bad that unfortunately does come from them, sadly, and just what the impact that fan movements have had on the pulp culture landscape. And you can't really talk about fan movements without talking about, well, kind of the granddaddy of all of them, and that's, of course, the fandom menace. And for those of you that, now, I am not a complete expert on the fandom menace, but I do know, I think, enough to give an educated summary on them. Essentially, the fandom menace came from the backlash of the Star Wars prequels, and it died out. And then when the internet became a huge thing with platforms like YouTube and MySpace and Facebook and so on, the fandom menace really gained a foothold and began a resurgence, became more organized in a manner of speaking, and became more vocal in how they could present their ideas, their positions, and so on. And it's, well, by and large, the fandom menace has been a relatively positive movement, but unfortunately, as well, it's had its issues, and we'll talk about that in due course. And I just want to send a quick hello to the chat. Fiona Wolf, I know Fiona was in here earlier, and Mountains of Elysium. Good to see you, my friend, as always. So, but yeah, with fan movements, it particularly online, I remember a time when the internet wasn't a thing, and you had your friends that you hung out with at school, or your neighborhood friends that you got together with, and you debate all sorts of different things, like who could beat who in a fight, which was better, Star Trek or Star Wars, who had the best comic collection, and all sorts of things like that. And essentially, the internet allowed us to meet with people from around the world that shared similar interests, and from those interests, fan movements would spring up. And honestly, for me, it's been a real pleasure and an opportunity to be online, be on YouTube, be on Twitter, and so on, be on Discord and Instagram and all those things, and be able to share my love and passion, and to find these fan movements that I resonate with and that I agree with on one degree or another. And also, it's been an incredible thing to witness the positive impact that fan movements can have on pop culture. So, Milan, anything there that I brought up that you want to respond to?
Well, I don't know when to start. My recollection of the fandom menace was, to me at least, first came to mind due to the backlash of The Last Jedi. When I joined in early 2018 and left in early this year on my own free will. So I didn't know there was a fandom menace when the prequels came out, since there was no internet, and I discovered Star Wars for the first time in somewhere either 2001 or 2002, before the episode 2 came out. So I was looking to rent movies, and there was a list, episodes 4, 5, 6, and episode 1. I was like, where are episodes 2 and 3? I was a little confused.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one. I think I rented episode 1, then 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's the other way around. Anyway, essentially when I joined the fans, it was mostly positive, and I agree
Mm-hmm.
with some statements. I didn't agree with others, but at the time it was almost either every 2 or 3 months constant fighting on the internet about the fandom menace, so on and so on, to the point where I was exhausted fighting over some stupid arguments. I had my fightings defending Odin over on Twitter with Elite Army fan movement, because he was comparing Captain Marvel to Alita and how much Alita was better, and they didn't want their names Elite Army trash due to comparison of Captain Marvel and Alita.
Right.
And I don't want to retrace all the stuff, but
yeah, that's fine. Well, the interesting thing is, the internet, as we know it now, wasn't the same internet as it was back in like the early 2000s. You had message boards and everything where people would congregate and they would debate about the prequels and this and that and the other. And there were people who very much disliked the prequels, that thought it was a complete and total train wreck, and just didn't. And that's where all the dysfunction and discord and everything. When I say discord, I mean disagreement came from. And just real quick to the chat, Mountains of Elysium brings up a kind of an interesting idea. We should have the Citadel of Nerds, where nerds are welcome, a free port of any fandom. We can agree to disagree, but just enjoy the shows we love. Yeah, actually, that's not a terribly bad idea, Elysium. Might look into that, truthfully. And also the True 31, Fiona Wolf, you can call me Joker. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Glad you could pop in this afternoon. So. And Fiona Wolf, Fiona, I did see your comments before the stream started, and we will get to those and everything in time and everything when we kind of shift from the Phantom Menace over to the Snyder Cut movement and so on. But she says, yeah, there are some things that people won't see eye to eye on. I just want more on my aspirational palette or plate so I can use my channel to find it and promote it. And you know, and that's one of the great things, you know, about the internet. It allows people, as I mentioned earlier, from all over the world that you might, okay, for instance, Mladen, you're from over in
Europe,
and I think we'll just say that. And I'm here in the States. And we both share a love of Star Wars, just to keep it simple.
Yeah.
And through the internet and through the now defunct fan movement that we both met through, we had the opportunity to share our thoughts and our ideas and really just geek out about the things that we are passionate about the things that we love. And well, and just back last month and everything, me and Elysium, we did like a 3 or 4 part series of videos where I broke down the lore of the Star Wars universe for him. Because he's a casual fan. I'm hardcore, obviously. And that is one of the great things that the internet allows for us. It allows fans from all over the place to gather together and debate and discuss and just share in our passion and our love for this thing called pulp culture. Now, unfortunately, when you have a movement that does start to form and coalesce and everything, you're going to have the bad apples pop in. You're going to have the trolls that are going to show up and want to cause nothing but disharmony and dysfunction and just want to flap their gums for the sake of hearing their own voice. And unfortunately, that is an issue that every fan movement has had to deal with, whether it's the Phantom Menace or release the Snyder Cut or release the Schumacher Cut. Although, now for those of you that aren't familiar with release the Schumacher Cut, Darth Kosh, haha, very funny, Elysium. The release of the Schumacher Cut is a movement that I actually am a part of and everything, and I have the hashtag on my Twitter, and I do post it in different things that I publish. That is working to release the Schumacher Cut of Batman Forever, because just a few months ago, we lost Joel Schumacher and everything. He passed on.
Yes, unfortunately, we did.
Yeah. And a lot of us, and everything, myself included, and everything, I'm part of a Twitter group and everything that we promote. We are trying to get our voice out there and ask Warner Brothers and everything to put together, in whatever way that they can, the original cut of Schumacher's Batman Forever. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin were just our train wrecks. But for me personally, I have a very deep attachment to Batman Forever. It is by far one of my favorite Batman movies. I mean, I love Batman 89. I'm okay with Batman Returns, but honestly, of all the Batman movies, well, the 80s and 90s ones in particular, Batman Forever is by far one of my favorites because it has two of my favorite villains. It has the Joker and it has Two-Face. And I honestly would love to see what Joel Schumacher's original vision was going to be for this film before Warner Brothers came in and monkeyed around with it. And Fiona Wolf and everything brings up a couple of points. Back in the Mass Effect 3 days, I was part of Change the Endings movement, retake Mass Effect. Yeah, I do remember that. Anything, because I know there were a lot of people that didn't care for the ending of Mass Effect 3, and I played through all 3 games. I thought it was a pretty good series by and large, but I know some people weren't thrilled with the ending for Mass Effect 3, where it was essentially a color filter. And I
like that ending.
Now, I will say that aside from the color filter, the storylines that they used to wrap up each ending, I thought were good, but it could have been handled much, much better. And Fiona Wolf actually brings up another interesting point. At least the series showed me what not to do in writing. Always have an end goal in mind at the start. Even if it changes, you will still have something to aim for. Yeah. And to the chat, Benzo H. Benzo, it has been a long time, my friend. Good to see you. And yeah, you can call me Joker. He brings up a point. Jim Curry could be. I think he's meant to say Jim Carrey. Could be a Riddler. Could be Riddler in any version of the movie. Likewise, Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, I would agree with you, Joker. Absolutely. But and that's the great thing about fan movements, is it's a place where we can all congregate, and if we feel passionately enough about something, we can put our voice out there into the internet, because that's the other thing that the internet does. It gives fans a platform to voice their opinion to these companies like Warner Brothers, like Lucasfilm, and so on. And Farseer Arendelle, good to see you. Farseer is a recent subscriber. I'm glad to see you and everything. And they say, but they did put a third ending in for Mass Effect 3. Yeah, they did. So, and that was, I think, the synthesis ending, because you had the one where you destroy the Reapers, the one where you co-op the Reapers, and then the ending where it is almost like a hybrid of biological and technological beings, which I actually thought was pretty cool personally. So, but as I started to say, fan movements are just a kind of a side effect or an effect of the advent of the internet. And it's those places where we can gather together and we can say, hey, we have what we feel is a legitimate argument to give to these companies. For instance, I think I'll just use the Snyder Cut movement or anything as an example. People saw the Joss Whedon version of Justice League and they didn't care for it. They found out that Zack Snyder and his wife had to step aside because of the death of their daughter. And what the Snyder Cut movement has been able to do is they have not only brought attention to the fact that they want to see Zack Snyder's original vision, and they want to see what he was going to bring to theaters, to the public, before he had to, well, whichever way you prefer to say it, whether he left voluntarily, and I think he did leave I think he left of his own volition to some degree because he needed to grieve. Him and his wife, they needed to grieve the passing of their daughter. But also, Warner Brothers brought in Joss Whedon, and I won't get into all the controversy there. That's already being discussed on other channels and everything. But what the Snyder Cut movement has done, one, they have raised awareness, and they are doing charity work for the American Suicide Awareness Foundation. And I think that is a great positive thing that the Snyder Cut movement has done. But not only that, they have been able to voice their opinion and bring attention to the fact that they want to see the original version of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And that has been, I think, a net positive for fan movements anywhere. And you can call me Joker. Let me bring up your comment here. Hey, Ambassador, did you think the first Riddick movie, not Pitch Black? I think it was. What did you think of the first Riddick movie, not Pitch Black? I think it was pretty revolutionary, but it really didn't fulfill its true potential.
Is he talking about 2013 Riddick movie? Because Pitch Black was the basically first Riddick movie, then Chronicles of Riddick and Riddick, the third one.
Well, there was another film that was in the middle, and it was an animated film that was called Dark Fury, and everything that filled in the gap between Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick. Joker, if you can clarify what you mean. I enjoyed Pitch Black. I liked Dark Fury, and I did like Chronicles of Riddick. Honestly, I thought all three movies were very good. I didn't see the third one or the fourth one in the series, and I think that was funded primarily by Vin Diesel. But yeah, by and large, I thought the Pitch Black movies or anything, or the Riddick movies were actually very good. Elysium brings up another. Yeah, that's the wrong comment. I think that the director should have the right to release their own version of the movie. It does not have to be in universe canon, but I would like to see a director's vision. Yeah, Elysium, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And you've even got another movement that has started up just recently, and it's for the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. Now, I didn't see Suicide Squad. It didn't really appeal to me. I have HBO Max. I might check it out at some point. I've heard some people say it's actually pretty good. I've heard some of the people say it wasn't that great. But Yeah, Joker Chronicles of Riddick. Yeah, I enjoyed Chronicles of Riddick. I thought it had a really good cast. I thought the story was very intriguing. I thought it went in a different direction than Pitch Black was. I would almost parallel the Riddick movies with the Alien movies, I am speaking, whereas the first Alien movie was a creature horror film, as whereas Aliens was more of a action film. I think that's something that was kind of a parallel that the creators behind the Riddick films and the Alien films were, or at least the Riddick films were trying to, I think, in some ways mirror.
Yeah, I can see that. I just like
Yeah.
to point out that, ironically enough, the Chronicles of Rick. That's the first movie I watched. Didn't watch Pitch Black because didn't know that was the first movie. But overall, I really like Riddick movies. Not particularly the last one that they did, because it felt almost exact copy of the first one with a small portion of the second one. Dark Fury, I have not watched it or played video games based on the movie.
Yeah, I've heard the video games are actually pretty good and everything from the Riddick universe. And True 31. Now, Dark Fury, as I said, it was an animated short that they did. It is voiced by Vin Diesel and Keith David, and so on. They actually had a pretty good voice cast for the animated short and everything. And I think you would enjoy it, Mladen. The True 31 brings up the uncreative executive trying to be creative is something that will never change in Hollywood. Yeah, Truth, I would agree with that. I think executives need to take a step back and do what they do best. Fund great creative minds like Zack Snyder and so on, and like David Ayer. So, and let's see. Gridler says the Rake movies have fantastic casts and great visual effects, considering the fact that the budget wasn't that large. I think Riddler's or Joker's talking about the last movie that they did. Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to see it, but I may try and find it somewhere secondhand. And Farseer and everything they bring up. Riddick games were probably the best video games out there. By the way, I like the universe. Reminds me a bit of Warhammer 40K. Yeah, I know a little about Warhammer and everything, not a whole lot. So, but yeah, I can see and everything the little bit of the threads there that I do recognize. And very quick to the chat, positive candor. Good to see you, my friend. Glad you could stop in to see this afternoon. But kind of getting back on point here. I think one of the truly amazing things about fan movements is that they give people a voice who normally wouldn't have one. And as long as egos are kept in check, in a manner of speaking, whereas everybody's in agreement that this is the goal we're shooting for, this is what we're wanting to achieve, and we try and keep things in a positive frame of mind, I think fan movements can be a great part of the pop culture landscape and also of the internet landscape as well. I mean, if you, like I said, if you look at release the Snyder Cut, release the Schumacher Cut. Now, unfortunately, with release the Snyder Cut, there has been those individuals out there and everything. I won't name names because I think most everybody who has some connection to release the Snyder Cut are already familiar with those individuals. I think one of the great aspects of a fan movement is, as I already said, it gives everyone a voice. And as long as everybody tries to keep their ego in check and doesn't try to play top dog, I think fan movements can be a force for positivity online. And honestly, I think that's something that a lot of people online are looking for is positivity. So, and just real quick to the chat, Gator92, good afternoon or good evening, my friend. Good to see you as always. So, Milan, anything that you want to respond to that I just put out there?
Yes, I want to comment on the ego check. Yeah, that's basically have been the problem with fan demands. I'm sorry I have to bring it up, but
It's okay.
there are some people that still consider people who like The Last Jedi are fake fans because they like the sequel installment. So that, and also constantly bullying everyone online, which I don't particularly like. While the movement started as a good thing, it slowly become a very negative. And how do I say this? They don't care to ego check because when you think of fandom, you think of geeks and gamers, the Star Wars, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Jeremy doesn't care about who says what, and I think that's the big problem because he doesn't need to, because was, I think, famous. He doesn't have it in his bio before he left. He didn't have it before he left Twitter, and I don't think he will ever say that he's not a part of the mess, because I think he's looking out for his own image instead of fan movement anymore.
Yeah, I would agree with that, honestly. And I haven't. I used to watch channels that were associated with the fandom menace. I even used to have. I used to have the hashtag in my description on Twitter and everything, and I did use it on some of my videos when I was first starting out because I did agree with some of the things that the fandom menace stood for, but after a while, it just became too much negativity, too much toxicity, and I had my fill, and I tuned them out. And here's the thing about fan movements. Regardless of your entry point into a fan movement, let's just use Star Wars as a template here. Let's say you're a person like me who grew up watching the original trilogy, was able to see the prequels in theaters, and was able to watch the majority of the Clone Wars, read the books, read the comics, play the video games, was part of the first generation that grew up with the expanded universe in the period when there were no movies or TV shows or anything less. Honestly, if you are one of these people who is a Star Wars fan, regardless of where you came into the fandom, you're still a fan. And, I've made no bones about my opinion on the sequel trilogy. My distaste for it has mellowed and everything, just for the simple fact that it's come and gone. It's done and over with. I've said my piece on it. I'm not gonna sit here and carp on it. But I look at people and everything. And I've met a lot of people who do love the sequels and who equally love the originals and who love the prequels. And I look at that person, whether it's a man or a woman, I don't care. Whether it's somebody like Enosh Fett, or it's Dawson from Nerdy in Many Ways, or it's Gator92, or yourself, Mladen. And I say to myself, or even Mountains of Elysium, because Elysium says he likes the sequels by and large. He thinks they're entertaining, but now that he understands where the plot holes are, he has a much better understanding of why someone like myself doesn't care for him. There is no such thing as a fake fan. If you say, I am a fan of the Star Wars universe, either one part of it or another, or the whole thing across the board, you are still a fan. You are still a part of Elysium. No worries, my friend. None whatsoever. Completely understand. But honestly, there is no such thing as a fake fan. Is there such a thing as a troll? Yes, absolutely. I will agree. Unfortunately, there are online trolls who are just out there to cause discord and dissension and just get everybody riled up for no good reason other than to boost their own ego or just cause drama. And unfortunately, again, in life, there is going to be drama. But I think one place where we need to take a stand against those that want to just cause nothing but drama is just we shut the door in their face and we say, sorry. If this is all you're here for is to cause drama, go do it somewhere else. And I want to bring up Farseer's comment here real quick. Didn't like the fandom is they are one of the reasons why people didn't give Birds of Prey a chance. Yeah, and Farseer, I actually agree with you on that. As I said, and most everybody here knows I'm a comic book fan. I am primarily Marvel. I love the Marvel movies. I love the MCU. Do I agree? Do I see the fact that there are some weaker installments in the series? Yes, absolutely I do. But does that diminish my enjoyment of it? No, because I read the comics growing up as a kid. The MCU has kind of died down, and I've been delving more into the DCEU. I've been watching the animated movies because we have HBO Max and so on. And I've been watching the live action movies and everything. And I might even do some reviews of those somewhere down the road and everything in the coming months. But I'm attracted to positivity. And the people that are by and large involved with the DCEU, with the Snyder Cut, with the Schumacher Cut, with the Ayer Cut, they're by and large positive individuals. And that's something that I like to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of a group that's just going to be out there causing drama and doing clickbait videos and everything else under the sun. That doesn't appeal to me, and I think that's true for a lot of people. So, anything there you want to comment on, Mladen?
Can you spotlight the "you can call me Joker" comment?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You maybe like the last trilogy as a movie is a matter of taste. I can't understand how you can love it as a Star Wars fan. You need to forget all about Star Wars saga in order to love the last trilogy. Yeah, Joker, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I do wholeheartedly agree. But at the same time, I'm not going to alienate a part of the fandom and everything if they do happen to like the sequel trilogy. I'm not going to say nope. I want nothing to do with you. You are not a part of this. You're not a part of this fandom because you like X. That's not what being a fan is about. It's not about being a gatekeeper. It's not about cutting people out. It's about allowing people to come in. That's what fan movements are about. They're about bringing people together, not dividing people apart.
And also to comment on his comment, ask Goldman that question. Maybe he can answer it because he's a sequel lover, and his favorite character is Rey.
Say that one more time, Aladdin.
The Goldman.
Oh, Goldman. Yeah, he did the Rey is not Mary Sue video. Yeah, I do. I watched that video, and I gave him my fair and honest critique. I applaud his passion. I applaud his enthusiasm. And if Goldman likes the character of Rey, if she is someone if it is a character that resonates with him, and if he loves the sequels, I am not going to yank his fan card. That's not my job. Will I say in jest, your fan card is revoked? Will I say it in jest? Absolutely. But am I going to sit here and say, Goldman, your argument has no validity? From my perspective, it doesn't. But that doesn't mean that from his perspective and from other people's perspectives who do like the character of Rey, who do not see her in the same perspective that I do or others do, it's going to render his position invalid. No, I'm not going to do that, and I would encourage others not to do the same thing. I'm not going to sit here and hate on Goldman because he likes the sequels. He is a Star Wars fan, the same as I am.
Amen to that.
His perspective might be different, but it does not mean it's invalid. And that is something that I have been working hard at trying to promote and try to get that message out, that we who were some of the first generations of Star Wars fans, we need to look across this divide that has been created by no fault or somewhat our fault of our own, and say to them, you're welcome to come in here. We're not going to shout at you. We're not going to call you names. We're not going to stamp you as fake fans. That's not how fandoms work. That's not how fan movements should work. And Gator 92, he brings up a great little gem. I agree with all of you. Someone said, another man's trash is another man's treasure. Yeah, very, very true. And let's see here. Fiona Wolf or anything. First sequel to the movie should have had all the OG Star Wars characters handing the torch to the new ones. That's the biggest mistake with Force Awakens. We should have Luke, Han, and Leia together. Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I can wholeheartedly agree with that. And that's what I'm trying to fix with my fan fiction that I'm writing. And yes, folks, part 4 will be coming out and everything, hopefully next week and everything. I've just got to sit down and put all my thoughts on paper, or well, on my computer rather. And let's see, you can call me Joker. What does he say? Yesterday I tried to see the last, I think he's supposed to say The Last Jedi again.
Yes.
By visual standards, the movie's exceptional. But it looks like it was written and directed by a man who had never heard about Star Wars or Lucas. Yeah, Joker, I can agree with that. And let's see, Mounds Elysium, I like the character Rey, separate her abilities that she had not earned. Yeah, separate to the abilities. And Farseer, I love the prequels. They were my first Star Wars. I still own the making of book, the episode 1. I know they're not perfect, but I don't care. I watch the movies to enjoy, not to critique. Yeah, and that's, Farseer. I was in my space for a while that I did not particularly care for the prequels, but I sat down and I got all the other voices that were telling me that the prequels were terrible, awful movies and I shouldn't like them. And I sat down and I rewatched them, and I remembered why I went to the theater 2 times in a row for Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith in cosplay as a Jedi Knight. And I realized, yes, these movies have flaws, but they do not diminish my enjoyment of them. And yeah, and you can call me Joker. Yeah, I don't think anybody in the chat or anybody that'll watch this later would disagree with your. I respect any fan, any opinion, and any voice. Yeah, same here. The only thing I don't respect are trolls. I have no use for trolls. I have no time for trolls. That's why a troll pops up in my chat, I slam the door in their face. I do not want your drama. I do not need your drama. This is a place for us to celebrate pop culture, not listen to trolls stir up a bunch of drama. As the old saying goes, keep the drama for your mama. But, honestly, I think one of the fandoms that really needs to be healed, and this is something that I am going to work towards through my channel and through my online presence, is to heal the Star Wars fandom. Because it is, in all regards, the oldest fandom around, second maybe to Star Trek. And I know there are people out there who don't like modern Trek, and they're entitled to that opinion. They're entitled to that perspective, and I will not begrudge them that. But Star Wars is something that's very near and very dear to my heart. I think most everybody knows that. I think, or those who don't, eventually we'll figure it out. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I'm trying to write a fan fiction to correct what I think was wrong with the sequel trilogy. But I think it's time that there's another fan movement that was started, and I don't mind being the one to say it's time to heal Star Wars. It's time to heal the Force. And let's see, Mountains of Elysium. What does he say here? They are trying unsuccessfully to change Michael Burnham in Discovery. She is far better this season than the previous two, but still a Mary Sue, which is a shame. She could be a great character. Yeah, Elysium, I agree. In the Farseer, come on. Most of the time tell trolls to go back under the bridge. And that's not a bad position to have. Far from it. And Fiona Wolf, and I think she chimes in. Modern Trek is too so box and nihilistic. Yeah, and I think that's a fairer perspective. And I think that's one that several people more likely would share. So, but anything there that I said, Mladen, that you want to?
I just want to comment on. I tried to give it Discovery a shot. Watched the first episode, and then I said, "No, thank you, not for me." And that's disappointing because I like the first three movies produced. First two directed by J.J. Abrams, and the third one produced by him. He did not direct.
Yeah,
I enjoy them, but when I watched the TV show The Orville, that piqued my interest to watch the original Star Trek. So I binged all episodes of the original, watched the movies, and I'm currently watching TNG.
Excellent.
I'm in the beginning of season 5 of
Outstanding.
TNG.
Outstanding. I would love to sit down and pick your brain about that and everything sometime. Maybe we can set up a stream and everything where we do that, because I would like to hear your perspective and everything on all of that. If you could just in a short little summary and everything, give me your thoughts on what you think of Star Trek that you've seen thus far.
So far, which Trek, the OG or the TNG?
Either or, TNG or the original series.
I'm gonna start with TNG because it's fresh in my mind.
Sure.
I don't understand why people claiming the first two seasons sucked. Sure, there's some bad and good episodes, but overall, I didn't have a bad time watching the first two seasons. It definitely got better in season 3. Plus, they created the last episode to be a cliffhanger, part 1, and then in the beginning of another season, part 2, the whole 2-part Borg episodes in season 3 and season 4. So I enjoy the cast and some of the arcs. Was it Donald Troy? Yes, one of the episodes when she loses her telepathic abilities and cannot hear anybody's thoughts. I thought that was a pretty good episode because she relied too much on her power and not on her instinct to look at perspective and not to basically read immediately their thoughts.
Yeah, and I know exactly which episode you're talking about, Milan. I personally, TNG was the series I grew up with. Now, I had seen the original series movies and everything, and loved the original series movies. I still have not had the opportunity to sit down and watch every single episode of the original series and everything, just the movies primarily. But from what I've seen of the movies and the few episodes of TOS, I did enjoy it by and large. And Elysium brings up a good point. I have a notification on my channel. If you're here to troll, please try to be funny and original. Otherwise, you're just being sad, and you have my pity. Yeah, to quote, and I get where you're coming from with the last bit. It's from the first Toy Story where Buzz and Woody are underneath the truck, and Buzz says, "You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity." And he gives him the Vulcan salute. Farewell. And you can call me Joker. He says, I expected the character of Ben Solo would be developed and elevated to be the last Jedi, not Rey. Part 3, I expected the end to bring a new hope. Jedi Solo versus Sith Rey. That might have actually been interesting, Joker. And when part 4 of my fanfiction comes out, this just for those of you who are curious, the fan fiction I'm writing is going to be a 10-part series. Figure 10's a nice round number and everything. It'll give me enough space and everything to tell the story that I want to tell. And if it gets enough interest, I might do another fan fiction down the road. And it probably, being Star Wars is the universe I know best, it would probably take place in the Star Wars universe. And Farseer and everything brings up an excellent point that I wholeheartedly agree with. She's like, personally, I think Bastila is the best female Jedi. Yeah, Bastila Shan from Knights of the Old Republic, the first one. Yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Because I loved KOTOR. I played that thing, both endings, more times than I care to count. I destroyed the galaxy and I saved it. More times than I can count. And well, look who just popped into the chat. Moira Kitty, good afternoon, ma'am. Good to see you. So glad you could pop in for a little bit. But yeah, as I said at the beginning, I grew up in a world where fan movements. I'm currently hearing Ray Hu. Great job, man. Thank you, Joker. I appreciate it. Truly. Anything. It's nice. I know I get likes. I know I get comments on my content, but it's nice to hear and everything that someone's currently listening to it or watching it, and they appreciate it. And I may eventually, once I'm completely done with it, I may just do one long cut and just do it with no breaks and everything. Just do one long video or stream or whatever, and do the whole story in one piece. But we have a great opportunity. We have a great tool at our fingertips, and it's called the internet, and it's called platforms. And yes, I know all these different internet platforms do have their flaws. They do have their limitations, and they do have their issues. I get that. But I tried to be an optimist rather than a pessimist. And I see these fan movements that are popping up. I see people coming together and sharing their passion for pop culture and these fandoms that they are a part of. I see hashtags like release the Snyder Cut and release the Schumacher Cut and release the Ayer Cut and so on. And I am optimistic. I'm happy to say that I am a part of release the Schumacher Cut. I am happy to say that I support release the Snyder Cut, and we're getting the Snyder Cut, and I hope a day comes when we get the Schumacher Cut and the Ayer Cut. Release the Ambassador Cut. It will come, Elysium. Once I am finished with the whole fan fiction, I will release the Ambassador Cut. Count on it. And Fiona Wolf and everything, and I'll bring up this, and then we'll probably wrap up. I wish the forums were more active in general. When the net first hit, that was the place to be to get tons of book recommendations, everything else, web rings, etc. Yeah, Fia and I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And I guess the place and everything that we go to now are places like Reddit and everything. That's where a lot of these different forums and everything are at and everything, because you can go to Reddit, you can find a group or numerous groups on just about every fandom there is: Star Wars, Star Trek. Well, one of my favorites, Babylon 5, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You name it, you can probably find it. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I think fan movements, by and large, have been a net positive and are a positive force for change. They are a positive conduit by which fans can give their opinions on what they want to see going forward in these franchises and in these fandoms that we are all a part of. So, but any final thoughts, Milan, before we wrap up?
My final thoughts is for people to be more open-minded. Do not rush before you think, and do not bash the people who love sequel trilogy. Let them have their love and passion for the sequels.
Yes.
I can appreciate the first and the second movie. I cannot erase from my mind the third one because it ruins the enjoyment of the first two. I'm sorry, but if you love it, great. For me, it doesn't. The third one doesn't do it.
Yeah, and I can understand exactly where you're coming from, Aladdin. Truly, so. Well, folks, that all being said, for those of you that were here, and there was quite a few here, and I appreciate everyone that was. Anything, Mountains of Elysium, Fiona Wolf, you can call me Joker, Moira Kitty, Farseer, Arendelle, and I hope I got your name right, Farseer. And if I didn't, please correct me. You Getter 92. Let's see. I know there were several others in here that were probably just being quiet, and that's fine too. Positive Candor. I know you were here earlier. Thank you for tuning in as well. Benzo H, been a while. Glad you could tune in today as well. Just a couple of heads up and everything. I will be, once I watch it and everything, I will be releasing my review of The Mandalorian episode or chapter 10 and everything in the next couple of days. Coming up next week, I'll be back with another Babylon 5 review with Fiona Wolf, hopefully, and with Classic Comics and Mountains of Elysium. And then next Friday, I'm going to be back with another Friday night Ambassadorial Wings stream, and we're going to be talking about Robin Hood and the man, the myth, the icon. So if anyone is interested in being on that stream, get a hold of me through any of the platforms I am on, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, whatever. Anything, if you're interested, get a hold of me and I will put you down on the list. I'll obviously be bringing you part 4 of my Star Wars fan fiction, Ray Who, so be keeping your eyes and ears out for that as well. So, and then on Black Friday, I want to go ahead and promote this now and everything. I will be doing my 1-year YouTube anniversary stream. That'll be the Friday after Thanksgiving. The Friday of Thanksgiving weekend, and it'll be a 12-hour stream. I'm going to be doing a watch party for Monty Python and the Holy Grail, going to do some karaoke, and then haven't figured out what I'm going to do for the rest of the night going into that Saturday, but I'll keep you all updated as that comes along. So, Milan, anything that you want to add there before we close out?
No, I have nothing.
Okay.
Just need to watch your Reihu videos because I like that the fan fiction. I don't like the pauses. That
I got you.
Wait.
Well, it takes time to write these, unfortunately, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, to write then to look at what you wrote, if anything needs to be rewritten to sound more catchy.
Exactly.
To punch it up.
Right, exactly. So, all right, folks. Well, y'all have a great weekend. And until next time, this is the Ambassadors signing off.
I have always been